Good morning, everybody. My name is Barry Schwartz, and this is the Search Buzz video recap. Today is Friday, September 10th, and this is the search news we covered over at the Search Engine Roundtable at seroundtable.com over the past week. Lots to discuss. Possible Google algorithm update a week ago Saturday, so September 4th. Bing announced their content submission API is now out of beta, fully live for anybody to use. Google may go ahead and automate the removal of recipe-rich results on listicles or category pages. We'll get to that a little bit later. And Google Ads search terms report has gained more query data, but there's a caveat to that. So definitely stay tuned. And of course, I'd like to thank our sponsors, SEMrush. Check them out at semrush.com. SEMrush.com. They're a great tool provider and support the community greatly. Okay, so first up, September 4th, which was a Saturday, there definitely seemed to be some type of chatter. Of course, it was Labor Day, extended Labor Day weekend, a 3-day long weekend in the US, which generally leads to less traffic overall, but the rankings themselves also were very, very volatile. So basically, we saw a lot of chatter recently, those levels of Labor Day, but a lot of chatter, meaning even though people were off, there was definitely a significant amount of chatter around September 4th, as well as the tools all kind of lit up on September 4th. Google did not confirm anything. There was a previous update we wrote about on September 1st, which again seemed to be real as well, but Google did not confirm it as well. So those two updates, September 4th, Saturday, and September 1st, which was like I think Wednesday or so, take a look at that. If you were impacted, you were not alone. Microsoft announced the Bing Content Submission API is now available to everybody. They announced it over 2.5 years ago, I believe, at an XMX event, saying we have this new way to submit content to Bing. You no longer have to let us crawl. We will let you go ahead and push data to us. So they announced two things, the URL submission API, and they also announced the content submission API. The URL submission API was basically is live. I use it on my site. You push your URLs to Bing when it's updated or when it's new, when you have new URLs or when those updated URLs are updated. And Bing will then fetch the information on that page almost immediately and almost in real time. The content submission API takes it one step further where you not only submit the URL, but you also submit all the content on the page, the HTML, the videos, the images, the content, the markup, everything in one package. You just send that piece, whatever's on that page, to Bing, and Bing will consume it. Maybe they'll check it, maybe they won't, to make sure it's really there. But they've been testing this for like 2.5 years. It was in a larger beta release several months ago, and they said, you know what, it's working, we're gonna go ahead and release it. So definitely take a look at that if you are a big site and you don't want to have too much of Microsoft Bing crawling, your Bing bot crawling your website. This is one way to go ahead and expedite the indexing of your website without actually having Bing actually access your website. It should save resources on Microsoft's end, and it should save resources on your end. Google's John Mueller basically was approached numerous ways on Twitter and also on the video hangouts asking, we're seeing a lot of people post recipe structure data, recipe rich results on their category or what people are calling listicle pages, where they're listing out all the recipes on one page. Google's structured data or rich results guidelines say you can only have one rich result per page, and you shouldn't put them on category pages. You should put them on the actual landing page. So if you have a bunch of recipes on one page, no rich result markup should be on those pages, or structured data markup should be on those pages. When you click on a specific individual recipe, that page can have the rich result structured data, which eventually Google will actually show rich result markup for it. Google is actually showing rich result results for the listicle pages or the category pages, and that's something that Google said they wouldn't do. So Google's John Mueller said they may go ahead and automatically remove all those at one point in time, so don't depend on that or don't think that's going to happen forever. Yesterday, Google announced that the Google Ads search terms report, which as of September 2020 started to hide a lot of search term query data because of privacy reasons. Then we saw about a month ago, a little bit more a month ago, like 5 weeks ago, Google would automatically within a 6-hour period was showing all term data in that search terms report. They removed that quickly. Ginny's like, oh, we're looking into it from Google saying, we may bring back more data. And that happened yesterday. Google brought back more data, 6.5 times more query data on average is going to be shown in that search terms report, which is a lot more data. But with the caveat that some of your historical search data from previously, before September, which is not meeting the privacy limits, meaning there's 0 impressions or not getting much traffic or not getting much click data and so forth, Google's going to remove those types of queries for privacy-related reasons. So Google's saying download that data because if you want to save it, you want to have it on your end, you should download it now before Google removes it for privacy reasons. Now, keep in mind that, again, you're going to have more data than you had after September 2020, but you're going to have less data than you had prior to September 2020. Google sent out an email related to last week's news about the page experience update being pretty much done rolling out, except for the Google News stuff. And Google sent out to publishers that there is a new simplified content management in Google News, basically saying that you no longer need to have AMP content to show up in the Google News app or in Google News. Google will show non-AMP stuff, and basically displaying both AMP and non-AMP web content with more regularity for sites worldwide. There's no action required. There's a whole email about this. If you want to take a look at it, I posted on it, I think either Monday or Tuesday. Definitely take a look at that. John Mueller said, and I'll get into this probably more next week as well, that website quality can't simply be fixed by just making technical changes to your website. Making a bunch of just simple technical changes to your website is not going to go ahead and make your website better quality-wise. Quality is basically the overall site in general, the content, the navigation, the usability, and so forth. And there's a lot of factors around that. It's not just one thing, so definitely take a look at that. Making some changes to your technical changes to your website will not make your website better quality overnight. Google said also, John Mueller said this, don't put too much content on your category pages. So if you have an e-commerce site with a listing of categories about blue widgets, don't put too much content on that page. You probably have a paragraph maybe or so. It doesn't matter if you put it on the top or bottom, preferably the top, of course, for Google to be able to index it. But again, Google knows it's a category page. Putting too much content on that page will make it more of an article page, and Google will be like, well, this is not a category page. Google wants to know that this is a category page and will rank it as such. So Google's basically saying don't put too much content on there, which kind of validates a lot of the stuff they said in the past, as well as a Glenn Gabe case study around not having too much content there, which he published actually a week or two before this actually came out, which is pretty cool. Google sent out a tweet reminder, John Mueller basically saying, don't forget to have dedicated landing pages for your seasonal sales things. So if you have Black Friday sales, or you have, Thanksgiving sales, or you have Christmas sales, or whatever it might be, have landing pages dedicated to those sales, even if you don't have sales in January for something you have on Black Friday. Keep those pages up, say, coming soon, whatever, and then update those pages when the season happens, when you start to post your Black Friday deals. Make sure to have those dedicated pages there forever, and update them as you see fit. Google will probably crawl them fairly quickly. If you want, you can use your URL inspection tool to push the crawling, or the Bing Content Submission API to push that crawling as well. So that's just a PSA from John Mueller. John Mueller also said that image uniqueness is not equivalent to having higher quality images. Just because your image is unique doesn't make Google think, oh, this is a unique image, it must be higher quality. That's not how image quality works, according to John Mueller. Here's an interesting stat from a few weeks ago from the Financial Times, basically around how Microsoft Bing said that 20% of all Bing queries, I think they said this, 20% of all Bing queries lead to direct answers. So in the Google world, feature snippets, but in the Bing world, they call it direct answers, where if you do a search, 20% of the time, Bing will provide an actual direct answer. Microsoft launched their version of Google Discover. They're calling it Microsoft Start. It's basically a customized personal newsfeed on mobile or on desktop, where you go to, I think it's just microsoftstart.com or start.microsoft.com, and then you get a personalized feed. I assume this is going to be pushed into more areas on Bing and Microsoft's different properties, so definitely take a look at that and try to get your content in there. Microsoft Advertising has launched their version of the optimization score. Google has this for Google Ads. It's basically recommendations and how well you're doing in terms of optimizing your campaign performance in Microsoft Advertising. I assume a lot of the recommendations were there before, but this new score is fairly new. It's actually brand new from Microsoft. And finally, Microsoft Advertising launched a bunch of new features, or is launching a bunch of new features this month around ads having disclaimers on it. So for alcohol or specific types of things that you want to go ahead and put disclaimers on for legal reasons, you could actually have those disclaimers directly in your ads. Microsoft's testing various video ads on Microsoft's properties, and a bunch of other features around inline ads and the Merchant Center features around Bing as well, and shopping. So definitely take a look at that. In any event, thank you so much for listening to the Search Buzz video recap. My name again is Barry Schwartz. This is the search news we covered over at the Search Engine Roundtable at seroundtable.com. Of course, thank you so much to SEMrush for sponsoring. Really appreciate it. Thank you, SEMrush. Hope the new background is okay. I figured I'll move it from my office, which is over there, to see the larger part of the office, which is pretty much been empty for over a year and a half now. Everybody's working from home except for a couple people. In any event, thank you so much for listening. Everyone have a great weekend. Be safe. Those celebrating or commemorating Yom Kippur, have a good Yom Kippur on Thursday. I'll be offline on Thursday, but I probably will have stuff scheduled. Everyone have a great weekend. Be safe. Speak to you guys later. Bye-bye.